But let us proceed now to a more particular description of her actions. After the vision of the divinity described in the 2nd chapter, after she had offered herself entirely to the Lord and delivered up to her instructress all that she possessed, being thus deprived of all, entirely bound over to obedience, and hiding beneath the veil of these virtues, treasures of grace and wisdom greater than that of the seraphim, she requested the priest and her teacher to prescribe for her an order of life and to direct her in the occupations which she was to assume. The priest and the instructress, having together considered her petition with the aid of a special enlightenment from on high, and desiring to regulate from now on the exercises of this heavenly child of only 3 years, called her to their presence. The Princess of Heaven remained kneeling before them during this interview, and although they bade her rise, she begged most humbly to be allowed to remain in this reverent position in the presence of the minister and priest of the Most High and of her teacher, on account of their office and dignity. The priest spoke to her and said, "My daughter, as a very young child, the Lord has drawn thee to his house and holy temple. Be thankful for this favor, and seek to profit by it by striving hard to serve him in truth and with an upright heart. Acquire all the virtues in order that thou mayest return from this holy place prepared and fortified against the troubles and the dangers of this world. Obey thy mistress Anne, and commence early to bear the sweet yoke of virtue, in order that thou mayest find it more easy to bear during the rest of thy life." The sovereign child answered, "Do thou, my master, who art the minister and priest of God and holdest his place, and thou, my mistress, together with him, command and instruct me in whatever I am to do, so that I may not commit any fault. This I beg of you, wishing to obey you in all things." The priest and her teacher Anne felt within themselves a great enlightenment and a divine impulse to attend especially to this heavenly child, and to care for her more than the other maidens. Conferring with themselves about this great esteem with which they had been inspired, though ignorant of the mystery by which it came to them, they resolved to devote particular attention to her guidance and assistance. But as their care could extend only to the exterior and visible actions, they were far from suspecting the interior acts and inspirations of her heart, for over these the Most High watched with singular protection and favor. Thus the pure heart of the Princess of Heaven remained free to advance and grow in interior vision, without losing one instant in which she did not reach what is highest and most excellent in virtue. The priest also gave her a rule for her occupations and said, "My daughter, thou wilt assist at the exercises of divine praise and song in honor of the Lord with all reverence and devotion, and always pray to the Most High for the necessities of his holy temple and of his people, and for the coming of the Messiah. At 8 o'clock thou wilt retire for sleep, and at the beginning of dawn thou wilt arise in order to praise the Lord until the 3rd hour. This hour corresponds to our 9 o'clock in the morning. From the 3rd hour until evening thou wilt occupy thyself in some manual works, in order that thou mayest be instructed in all things. At meals, of which thou wilt partake after thy exercise, observe befitting moderation. Then thou wilt go to hear the instructions of thy teacher. The rest of the day thou wilt engage thyself in the reading of holy scriptures, and in all things be humble, affable, and obedient to the commands of thy instructress.